The Light Brigade by Kameron Hurley, 2019. In this military SF novel, our protagonists are fighting against Martians. That's people who have settled on Mars in the past. Or at least, that's who they believe they are fighting. In a world where capitalism has gone rampant, there really are no more nations, just corporations. These corporations have created a feudal society on Earth. One of the only ways out of poverty is to serve in their military. We learn that the first provocation by Mars was the Big Blink in Sao Paulo, Brazil. This Big Blink means that thousands of people disappeared, including loved ones of our protagonist, Dietz. Dietz joins a corporation's military. Typical of novels such as Starship Troopers by Robert A. Heinlein, or The Forever War by Joe Haldeman, or even Old Man's War by John Scalzi. We have, about the first a quarter to a third of the novel, details of training. There's a lot of world building here as we learn what corporation-run worlds look like. One of the unique aspects of this novel is how troops are transported. Their material self is broken into light and transported. We don't get a lot of science on this, but it's very interesting to see people transported as light. Not everybody transports well. This becomes an elite part of the military force. Our protagonist Dietz experiences the light transmission in a way different from many others. For her, she becomes unstuck in time and comes to different missions at different moments in the story. In this way, it reminds me of the movie Edge of Tomorrow. I haven't read the source material for that movie. So Dietz is getting glimpses of all sorts of times within this war. She starts to piece together what's going on in this conflict, and she becomes jaded with the war effort. Can you change your destiny, your time? Dietz discovers there's other people who travel through time. Most of them can't remember everything that they've experienced. The military refer to them as the Light Brigade. Corporations try to find an advantage in their knowledge. One of the things that's interesting is that the members of this Light Brigade don't all see the future in the same way. It does seem to be mutable. After every mission, Dietz sees a psychiatrist. These psychiatrists are employed by the corporation. In one session, Dietz is told, "It's important that we tell ourselves stories, Private Dietz. There's a theory that consciousness itself begins with story. Stories are how we make sense of the world. All of us have an internal story that we have told ourselves from the time we were very young. We constantly revise this story as we get older, honing and sharpening it to a fine point. Sometimes, when we encounter something in our lives or do something that does not match up with that story, we may experience a great sense of dissonance. It can feel as if you've lost a piece of yourself. It can feel like an attack on who you are when the real world doesn't match your story." In another moment in the novel, Dietz is reflecting on reality. Reality is a constructed thing. Imagine us all standing in a circle, trying to describe an object to one another, and as we agree on its characteristics, the thing at the center of our circle begins to take form. That's how we create reality. We agree on its rules, its shape. Different cultures have created different realities just by all agreeing about the thing they described. I would say the best military SF that I read has soldiers looking at philosophy. What is life? What is death? What is reality? What is truth? What is the right thing to do? Kameron Hurley's book is set in a world where capitalism has gone wild. We are down to a few corporations ruling Earth and Mars. The citizens of Mars are fighting for their freedom, but we really don't see that. It's behind the scenes. There are no countries, no governments, no accountability for these corporations. This novel is about the trap we find ourselves falling into in civilization. It also explores, are there ways out of this trap? The scenes of war are visceral. This novel is not for the faint-hearted. but there are rewards as it draws to a conclusion. Kameron Hurley does a wonderful job bringing all the pieces of time travel back together. Her writing is clear, precise, and page-turning. I've read a number of military SF novels this year, and I would say that this one is up there with the best of them. I would put The Forever War with Joe Haldeman at the top, but then this one might come in second. I did like it better than Old Man's War by John Scalzi and Starship Troopers by Robert A. Heinlein. I give The Light Brigade 8 out of 10. Have you read The Light Brigade? How about other work by Kameron Hurley? Can you recommend a novel or story by her? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, keep reading.